Hey everyone, before we get started with this week's episode, I wanted to share some exciting news. Between the recording of this interview and the publishing, circumstances changed regarding some information shared in this testimony. Please stay tuned after the episode to hear how God can still move in even the most difficult situations. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast, Not the Same, where I bring you true stories of real people sharing their personal testimonies of transformation. I am your host, Rachel Heimbert. I want to take a moment before we begin to thank every single one of you that have taken the time to listen to this podcast. When I had this idea and couldn't shake it, I had no idea of the personal enjoyment I would have, nor the positive feedback I'd receive from all of you. And for those that not only listen, but share them with others, I'm extremely grateful. If I am continually moved by hearing each person's unique story of finding change, then I'm confident you are as well. That being said, if you've just tuned in, thank you. I'm glad you found us and hope this will become a new favorite. We are available on all major platforms, so choose your favorite and like, subscribe, follow, and share to make sure you don't miss out. Last week, we heard a sobering story of a woman who, although faced so many challenges in life, found the one place, and in that place, the one person that became the hope for her life. This week, I am very excited to get the chance to speak with Sizwe Dhlamini, a man in our church here in El Dorado Park. Sizwe has been here for 6 years, and I've gotten to know him well through different ministries that overlap. He's an incredible blessing not only to my family personally, but to our congregation as a whole. And he's also my unofficial Zulu teacher. So as usual, I know very little about his life before, and I'm super excited to dive in. And I want to say thank you, Sizwe, first for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you, Rachel, for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it too. So we can get started and go from your background, your childhood, what it was like growing up, where you're from, all that.
I was born and raised in Johannesburg. We were two at home. I'm the last born, and I have an older biological sister who is about 30 years old now.
Okay.
My parents have been there ever since, and growing up has not been very, very easy. When I was young, I battled a lot with stuttering, to start from there. And my schooling years were a bit hard, especially my primary years.
Was it evident immediately when you were like...
Yes. So my mom told me that it took me a long time to just talk. Okay. I think I started uttering my first word around 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah. They thought that I couldn't speak. They took me places and traditional doctors and all of that. Over time, I was able to actually utter words, but at school, I had a problem doing my oral speeches and all of that.
Yeah.
It was very hard. And every week I used to be mocked at school, but I kind of overcame it and it got better as years went. I am not the only one at home who actually stutters. My mom does stutter a little bit, and my aunt, and I do have a younger cousin. It's bad for him.
That's interesting that it's a familial trait that. So when you say traditional doctors, did you ever go to a medical doctor?
Personally, no. I was just told they took me there, but I have been around them.
Okay.
Yeah. So growing up, my mom has been there, my dad has been there. Albert would say, my friends would say, Sizwe, you grew up as a cheese boy, meaning like, I grew up nice, you know?
Is that the term that people use?
Cheese boy, yeah.
Cheese boy, okay.
I grew up, I got most of the things that I wanted. I think in my street, I was the first one to own a bicycle, you know? I had toys. When we played marbles, I had the greatest marbles. Until life changed at an age of 13. That was around 2014.
Okay.
So growing up, my parents were not married until 2013, 2014, around there. And I remember between 2013 and 2014, they decided to get married.
Okay.
But I didn't know that they were getting married on that day. They just went to Home Affairs. My uncle came over just as a witness to sign.
Then they never told you?
I just figured out when I came back from school, And they're like, we got married. This is the certificate. I was like, wow.
Was that something that you had wanted, or you never thought about it, or you didn't care? Like, what was your thought about that?
I didn't even think it was a problem or they were not married or something. I just thought it was fine. They've been together for like more than 30 years. So my mom and dad, they met in school. So I'm like, okay, wow, okay.
Cool. No.
But when they got married, that's when things changed at home. I just saw another side of what is called marriage. I think in 2014, I first witnessed my mom and dad fight physically at home. And this was, I think, few months before my dad left us.
Okay. And they'd never had any sort of physical abuse beforehand?
No, I don't remember.
Okay.
Of course, they would argue, but before marriage, I don't remember them fighting physically, honestly.
Yeah.
They got married, then all of this started, and that is when I started just maturing, you know? And the only picture that I had about marriage was it's all about fighting, and that is what was painted in my head. And I think in that year, that's when my dad said, I'm leaving. I'm going to KZN. I thought he was leaving like he's going to visit. But it went for 2 to 3 years. He was not around. And I saw my mom suffering.
Yeah.
Because I also asked, why did he leave, you know?
Yeah. Did he ever give a reason beforehand, or did he communicate with you the whole time?
No. He just said he's going home, he's coming back. I got to find out that the reason why my dad left, they had a fight and they've been fighting about this, that my dad had actually got a girlfriend. Yeah. And of course, my mom was angry and all of that. And that caused the fight. My mom was angry. When my dad got that side, he actually got his own place, built a house. Then he got, I would say, a girlfriend. The girlfriend used to call my mom in the middle of the night.
For what?
That I'm with your husband.
Wow.
And my mom used to tell us this. It began to like hurt me that my dad is with someone else. And I did not understand really why.
Yeah.
And for about 3 to 4 years, he was that side. And this lady used to call and say bad things to my mom. She would put the phone on loudspeaker for us to hear all of these things. We were supposed to be 3. My mom lost the second born. The child was like 2 months or 1 month. That lady got to know about it, and she accused my mom of killing the baby. I remember her saying it on the phone that, yeah, you don't have that second born because you killed the child.
Wow.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
She would say that, but it has been hard. My mom was there for us.
So real quick, during this time, obviously you said in the very beginning that your mom really suffered. Once your dad left, what about like economically? Because you said you always had things growing up. Did that also change? Or did she have a job and she was able to keep supporting? Did your dad send money?
So at home, they had built back rooms that always generated money.
Okay.
And then my mom has been a domestic worker for more than 20 years. So she had a job and there was money. So we never suffered financially.
Okay.
I always went to school. I had spending money. I always had clothes.
So you would just say it was emotionally, mentally hard on your mom?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Just growing up in those few years, I think whatever happened, it just overshadowed the love they had showed me in the previous years. My heart was empty.
Mm-hmm.
My heart was empty. All of this is happening. I don't know why, which means if I would get married one day, I would go through the same thing. There is a picture I had.
Yeah.
My dad comes back. Before he comes back, I think the year before, we had a storm in Johannesburg, and the roof of our garage came over the main house, and it closed us in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And my mom called my dad. She was like, the weather is bad and the roof has closed us in. We can't go out. And my dad just said, make a plan. That's it. Then my dad chose to surprise us. I think in 2016. And I come back from school and my dad is at home. I'm like, okay, what's going to happen now?
What a roller coaster. Like, you think your dad's going for a short time and he doesn't come back. And then all of a sudden, now you're used to him not being there. And all of a sudden, now he's back. I can't imagine the emotions.
Yeah. When my dad came back, it has been war at home. That's when my parents separated, but they still lived in the same house. They did not divorce, but my mom slept in a separate bedroom ever since till this day.
Are they still in the same house to this day?
Yes. So my sister and I, of course, we have left now, but they still live together, but
Separate.
separate.
Okay. So your sister's quite a bit older than you.
Yes.
How many years? 8?
7 years, I would say.
7 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So when your dad left, you were 14, you said?
I was 13,
13.
Around there. Yeah.
So she was already 20. Yeah. Was she still living at home?
Yes.
Okay. Did she help you in any way, or was it like she was living her life? Because I know that's quite an age gap.
No, we were close.
Okay.
We were close. She used to help me prepare for school.
Okay.
Give me like, here's your spending money. Mom gave us this. Don't spend it all. Come back with some change.
Like an older sister is like a second mom.
She used to come back first from school, cook, clean the house. I used to help her too. Okay, my dad comes back. I remember that week, we would hear things break in the house. We would be sitting, watching television, and a fight would start. And we would just stand and rush into our room. And rooms would break. Glasses would break at home. And with all of that happening, I remember my dad started to drink excessively. And I remember we had a chat with my dad that this is too much. And he said, you won't tell me anything. When I met you, I was drunk. So I will not quit alcohol. So with all of that, he explained, your mom doesn't want to forgive me for what I did. I told her I'm sorry. She doesn't want to forgive. And he uttered these words, there's no man that doesn't cheat.
Wow.
And that really stuck with me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, there's nothing wrong to get married and still have a girlfriend. That is what I had. And this is how I'm growing up. My dad is telling me this. Cool. So, okay.
So this is normal.
This is normal.
It seems like in all of us as humans, we know when something isn't right. But when someone tells you it's normal, you think, oh, maybe I'm wrong and this is okay.
Exactly. So at home, we're still getting the attention as kids, but now it's all about your mom is at fault. Your dad is at fault. There's no peace. My dad used to come back from wherever he went, 2 o'clock in the morning, wake me up, just speak words. Your mom is like this and like that. Imagine 6 o'clock, I have to go to school and I'm up, just sitting in the cold, listening to my dad. That really, 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 it tore my heart apart.
Yeah.
And I used to ask my dad, can I go and sleep? And he used to say, you have to wait until I finish. Okay. Fast forward to the year 2017. This is where I decided to give my life to Jesus Christ.
How did that come about? Tell me a bit about that.
So we used to go to church, but it's like, we call it a Zion church.
Yeah.
Yes.
As a family or just your mom?
My mom. My sister used to come once in a while.
Yeah. But not your dad?
No, I don't remember my dad going to church.
Okay.
Never. So I used to go to church. I loved it. I remember I even dedicated myself like, this is my church.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is how we do things at home. So they mixed the Bible and tradition.
Yeah.
Yeah. Church, we used to burn incense and all of that.
A few episodes back, we heard from Homotso, and she was explaining how a lot of churches here do mix the traditional with the Bible, and you get this weird new religion.
Exactly. With that said, so at home, we are involved in this venerations, slaughtering of animals, speaking to the dead. We normally used to go to my mom's family for that. So they would have an event and they would slaughter a goat, and they used to use that goat as, I don't know, a token to speak to the dead. They had this hut where they had an altar where they used to put food, alcohol, all of that. This is where they spoke to our deceased family members. It's
just like the Native American religions. The Navajos have the same thing. They have a special hut and they do all that stuff out there.
Wow.
Yeah. It's the same. So
exactly. So that is what I knew. So when my sister got her first job, she had to go home, slaughter some chickens and say, thank you for this job. So apparently the ancestors gave her this job. So that is what I know about serving God. God is there. Yes, I believe in God. Not really Jesus. It was just God. And you can communicate to God through your ancestors.
Okay, I see.
That is how it was portrayed. That is family tradition. This is how we do it. You grow up doing this. You have to. You cannot forsake. I have a friend, Albert. So we have been friends ever since we were 6 years. We went to crèche together.
And then primary?
Yeah, he was my next door neighbor.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been together ever since. He's my best friend. He gets saved first, but I don't know about it. He used to go to church like we do. And he got saved and he comes back and he speaks about Jesus and church. And I'm like, okay, fine. But his life changes in front of my eyes.
Wow.
He tells me, I'm going to church. I can go out with you and roam around. And then one Sunday, he invites me to the Potter's house. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to come. And then I tell my mom, hey, Albert is inviting me to his church. So I'm going to go. It was an evening service. Okay, we walk to church. Nice. I come. Oh, wow, it's a white church. Okay, cool.
Let's specify that means that the pastor is white, right?
The pastor is white.
Because we're very mixed here, but I get you. It's not an African church.
Exactly.
Your reaction, oh.
Yeah. So the music is, of course, it's in English. And I'm like, I love the music.
Aww.
Okay, but it wasn't for me. An altar call was pulled. I heard the message. I just bowed my head and I said, I'm not raising my hand. But there was something that said, raise your hand. And I think someone actually tapped my shoulder and said, hey, do you want to give your life to Christ? I just said, I'm fine. Cool.
Sharp.
Went home. Then my mom asked me, how was church? I was fine. Yeah. But I said, I'm going back with him next week. I went with Albert again the following week. Then God got hold of me.
Yeah.
An article was preached. I raised my hand, went to the altar. I don't know what I'm doing, but the pastor said, we will pray for you. Okay, cool. Of course, I like the vibe now. It's my second service. I think Jonathan Mpake leads me to Christ, and he has this convert card thing. And he says, what do you want me to pray about? Yeah. And I said to him, I want my parents to accept my decision. I don't know what decision, but that is what I told him. And I remember that. And I started crying. Okay, cool. I wipe my tears. I have to be strong. Hey, men don't cry. I think on the Monday, we came to morning prayer. I told my parents, I have a new church now. I'm no longer going to go to your church. My mom was quite upset. She wasn't happy about it. They were happy that I'm going to church and I'm not drinking and I'm not doing all of that. I've been to every church service then, never skipped it. At home, it's the drama between my mom and dad. They're fighting, marriage stuff. And now Sizwe is going to church nonstop, even on Wednesday. And my mom, my dad, they were like, wait, on a Wednesday at church? This is too much. I see now that me going to church, it's becoming a problem.
Yeah.
Because you spend more time at church than with us. But the thing is now, I loved it at church because that's where my friends were.
Yeah.
Right? This is where I met Kosnati and Dhlamini. I knew them from
the neighborhood.
Yes. Right? I never knew that they also attended church here. And when I got here, these guys are here and it's nice. I feel loved here. We get to talk about many things. This is funny. So every morning, we used to go up to Pastor Bennett's office to have coffee. That blew our mind.
Wow.
First time having filtered coffee. Man, I'm telling you. We used to go home and brag that, listen, there's this strong coffee. It's not like re-coffee.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is half coffee, half chicory. It's very, very mild.
Yeah. And we loved it. We used to go out with Pastor Bennett for breakfast. And I felt loved.
Yeah.
Right? My heart was starting to be filled again with love. I loved people now at church. So I enjoyed spending time here than being at home.
For sure.
Of course, with the preaching of the word, God convicts you of many things. And I knew that like kind of life, because I was still sinning, because I was still involved in the things of culture and everything.
Oh, I see.
Because it was okay to serve God and
Tradition.
yes, but I knew that no, this is not what God says. And I knew that I have to make a stand. I want to live like these people. I don't want to go back now and live like my parents, how my family is living. I don't like this lifestyle. Then I think it was my 21st or 22nd birthday, 3rd of February. I'm sitting with my dad. It was a Sunday. That week, my dad was telling me, hey, I'm actually planning an event. We're going to just do something for our ancestors. And I said, with all due respect, Dad, I cannot do it anymore. I've given my life to Jesus Christ and I will not be doing any ancestral worship anymore. And my dad said, what? If you still stay in my house, you will do as I say. I just said, I can't. So we had my cousin Dorozo had came over to live with us. She has supported me when I took that stand. My dad said, you will not dish up for Sizwe. For weeks, I never ate at home, or my sister used to cook early. So Dorozo, my cousin, sorry.
Yeah, cousin, sister, yeah.
Yes. Dorozo used to cook and hide the food under my bed.
Wow.
So now things were tense between me and my father.
So he basically said, you can stay here, but you're not eating my food.
Yes. So he gave me a hard time. With all of this that's happening, it kind of pushed me towards the church, right? I used to wake up in the morning, come to morning prayer. I would stick around Simon, do the errands of the church. I didn't want to go home.
Yeah.
If I came home and my dad was there and they were still cooking, I wasn't going to get food. I would leave and just go down the road to my aunt's place and I would eat there. And what really hurt me the most, although my mom, although she was happy that I am saved and I'm not drinking and all of that, she wasn't happy about my decision.
Yeah.
I expected my mom to really fight my dad in terms of why wouldn't you feed my child?
To stand up for you.
I used to come back home. I used to expect that maybe my mom would offer me food sometimes and she would be sleeping and my dad would be sitting there and I wouldn't go to the kitchen because I wouldn't touch those pots.
Yeah.
So I would just go to bed and sleep. And they also used to just dish up and hide my food under the bed.
Did your dad ever find out? Do you think he knew and didn't say anything?
I think he knew because he knew that okay.
How much food is there?
Yeah, and of course, somehow someone is giving you food and you're eating, right?
Yeah.
So with that, it just led me more to Christ. I feel like I was more rebellious at home. And I was like, this is what I believe now. I'm saved, I'm born again. And I remember now saying to my dad, I'm not going to buy alcohol. And that really also sparked, it became tense between me and my dad.
So you mean for him? Like he would want you to go purchase it for him?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And now you're saying, I'm not doing that for you?
Yes. With that, of course, it was just bad. My dad was like, you don't want to do anything at home. I feed you, you sleep under my roof, and you don't want to go buy alcohol, right? And I remember with all of that, it was so hard for me. I don't want to say this, he made my life a living hell. It was like hell.
Yeah.
I had a thought to poison my dad. I remember there was like rat poison at home. And I was like, I can put this in your glass of wine and you would die and I would live in peace. I didn't do it.
I'm glad.
But I just had that.
Yeah.
And no one knows about that. It's only me and God. Thank God for salvation.
No, it's true that these things happen. And I want to say this here is that you're not the only one. I've heard this from several people over different circumstances, either saved or unsaved, where they have these thoughts because life is so bad. Even with Jesus, sometimes the backlash from family is so bad that you think, if I can just end this. But ultimately, thank God, like you said, for Jesus, that you didn't do it.
Yes, exactly.
Because you might not be sitting here right now and we'd all be very sad.
Exactly. Be in jail?
Yes, we don't want you to Sizwe in jail.
Exactly. So I have my cousin who's here living with us, which means now we are like 5 in the home. Dozo was here for like school. She got a space in one of the universities. So she got to witness also all of this all of the drama that's happening at home. My mom not being on the same books with my dad, broken marriage.
Yeah.
And it was hard for her to live with us, but she had no choice because this is the only place where she would be close to school. So yeah, I make all of these stands against my family, and the people at home, they're like, my mom is telling them that Sizwe is now living this life. To my siblings, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I remember my siblings are asking me, how are you living this life? We hear that you're no longer doing this and that and that. I'm telling them, listen, I've given my life to Jesus Christ. And this is what the Bible says, that if you're not born again, you shall not inherit the kingdom of God. To them, it does not make sense because what they are telling me is, but you know that this is how we are raised up.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm like, yeah, but this is not for me. Jesus Christ has given me love. The people at church, they have welcomed me. This is home.
Mm-hmm.
I've found another family here. COVID happens. I still come to church. It bothers my family. They end up just accepting it that, listen, we will not change this guy.
Did it get better as far as the food? Eventually you're
Yes.
allowed that. Like you said, we're not going to change.
Exactly.
Okay.
It carries on. Okay, fine. Sizwe is living his life now. He's no longer doing whatever we are doing. But my dad gave me a hard time in terms of, you cannot live under my house and do whatever you want and not do what I want you to do.
Yeah.
It made sense now that it was the best thing when I just chose to live.
Yeah.
With all of that, I get a job at the car wash, I think in 2022.
Okay.
I tell my parents that I got a job and I am employed by the church. They're like, fine, cool, all right. I start saving up money. My plan is to live home. And I don't tell my mom. I just say, I'm going to work one day. I'm going to get a good job and leave and just live on my own. My mom doesn't want me to live. My dad does not want me to live because I'm the last boy. And according to culture, boys don't leave their home. We build the home.
Mm.
You get married and your wife lives with your parents.
Yeah.
And your wife does everything at home.
We found that in India as well. That's why people want boys, because they add.
Exactly. So my dad says, you can't live. What's best is you can live in one of the back rooms. My dad gave me a room outside for 1 week and he said, no, come back in the house. We have to put in someone there.
Ah, I see. If you're there, you're not paying him.
Yes.
Money talks.
Yes.
Money talks.
So Jabo and I, we plan, hey, we're going to move out. This is when we approach conference 2022 and we get a place. I don't tell my parents I got a place, but Ndozo knows. My sister, Linda does not know about this.
And this is your older sister?
Yes.
Okay.
We pay our first rent. We organize furniture and everything. And we don't live there.
Oh,
it's still nice living at home. Then my mom and my sister, they went to go visit my family in KZN. I'm left with my dad at home. It's the two of us. It's a Wednesday evening. And I come back from home. My dad is drunk. The door was closed. I open and my dad just says, don't go any further. Give me my keys and leave my house. I'm giving you two options. You live in my house, you do as I say, you live this church thing, or you live immediately. And the only thing I have, it's my backpack and I have a jacket. I'm like, wow. Tears roll down.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to leave. And I say, thank you. I love you. Here are your keys. It's at night. He doesn't know where I'm going. When I step outside of the house, he follows me. I walk outside of the gate. He follows me. He stands and I walk up the road. When I turn back, he's still looking at me and I vanished into the dark and I went to where we got the place.
Do you think that's what you needed to actually go?
Yeah. The thing is, I was scared to tell my parents I got a place.
He made it easy for you. I mean, not easy because I know it was emotional, but he gave you the nudge.
Yeah. When I left, my dad told me, you are not welcomed here. As of today, I've visited my mom when he's not there.
You haven't seen your dad since you moved out?
For 2 years, I haven't spoken. I haven't seen my dad.
Oh, wow.
I move into this new place, which I don't like because I don't like living alone, but I have to because I'm now chased out of home.
And you're a man, you're a girl.
Yes.
It's time.
What's funny is even my pastor doesn't know that I'm chased out of home. My pastor knows that Sizwe got a new place. Sizwe lives alone. cool, sharp. But ever since Pastor Jonathan Heimberg came, because when he came here, I never wanted anything to do with marriage. We had a conversation and I said to him, if I would get married, listen, I'm not signing any community of property things and I don't even think I'm going to get married. And if I do, she has to work. I'm not sharing my money with her.
Yeah.
It was a messed up thing.
But that's all you knew. I mean, so many people have this perspective because that's all they know.
Yeah.
And when your whole reference point is, like you said, a living hell of a lifestyle, why would you want to choose that?
Yeah.
Not realizing it can be totally different.
Exactly. And he just said, just look at families in the church. You can get married and you can live like them.
Yeah.
And I didn't believe what he said. So observing his life, his family, the families at church, to me, it was too good to be true. I was even telling my friends that I just think it's an act.
Oh, wow.
Like these people, they come here, church, like everything is nice. Jesus this and that. Marriage is hard, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing I knew, marriage is hard. But over time, I saw that, oh, this is beautiful. What was happening at home, it's not right. This is not how marriage should be. And I began to pray and God helped me. And today, I'm like, I want to get married. I know what a good marriage looked like.
Yeah.
So me being out of my parents' home has been great. Listen, I've just served Christ to the fullest. God has helped me big time. Moving from the car wash job, going to more corporate, professional space, it was, again, another blessing from God.
Yeah.
Because one thing that I was scared about is what if I fail and I have to go back?
Yeah.
I said to myself, I can't go back, even if I have to live in shelters, but I cannot go back at home. Because I know I'm not welcomed. I can't.
Yeah.
And I just began to pray, God, you have to help me. I'm going to live for you. You have to sustain me. And ever since, God has kept his promise. And by God keeping his promise, I have never doubted him ever again. Because whatever I have asked God, certain things, and it has always happened. I've prayed for a new job. God has provided a new job. The job that I'm currently in, I do not qualify. I do not have any qualifications for it. From washing cars in a car dealership to being in the human resource department, how it came to pass was like one of the managers approached me and they said, I like how you work. I told my guys, my friends that, listen, I need a new job. I need a job that's going to help me to come to morning prayer. I need a job that's going to help me to be more church, more involved. And this manager said, I'm going to book you in for an interview. Out of the blue, he called me 7 a.m. one Tuesday morning and he said, are you ready? Can you come in for an interview? I said, okay, yes. I called Pastor Lieben. I called the guys. I said, guys, I'm going into this interview. I need you to pray for me.
Yeah.
I went into the interview, but when I went to the office, there were other guys being interviewed for the same post. And we are sitting there and they're asking me, what did you study? I'm like, I go in, interview. It was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't have experience in the field. The only thing I told them was, how good am I at washing cars?
There you go.
But I can tell you it was God, because when I left that interview, within few minutes, he called me. He said, I want you. You got the job.
Wow.
And I called the guys and I said, guys, thank you for praying for me.
Yeah.
And they said, you don't know, Sizwe, when you said, please pray for me, they were here for morning prayer. They stopped everything. They gathered together. They prayed and God moved.
That's amazing.
I have learned to trust God. And I've prayed for my family to get saved. And one of my cousins, Zama, gave her life to Jesus Christ. And there is another tick on my list that, listen, God is answering my prayers.
Yeah.
I'm still praying for my mom and dad. My prayers is that, God, do whatever it takes for them to get saved and live for you. And use me if possible.
For sure.
And I see that God is doing something because my siblings are just showing more interest in the kind of lifestyle now that Zama and I are living. And they are like, we also want to live like you.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there's that fear. I cannot disappoint my parents, my grandmother, and all of that.
Yeah.
And there's people who come in at church and we speak and they're like, Ish, at home, I cannot do 1, 2, and 3. And I always tell them, listen, if you would surrender your life to Jesus Christ, if you would make stands, God is going to help you, and God is going to help you through everything that will come against you.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy. I know it. But if you would surrender your life to Jesus Christ, God is going to help you. I am a living testimony of it.
Absolutely.
My sister also no longer lives at home. We have all went on to live alone independently. She has been coming once in a while to church, but we were speaking, I think, a few weeks ago, and she said, I cannot believe where you come from, that you really made it. She sees the power of God in my life.
Yes.
And that is what I've been praying for. That when people look at me, when people look at my life, they should see you. They should see what you can do in someone's life.
Absolutely.
I'm just happy that I'm here and I'm serving God with my childhood friends. And I never knew that down the road of life, we would be serving God together. It has been great and I don't regret it. I don't regret giving my life to Jesus Christ. Life has ups and downs, but God has never given me a reason to doubt him.
And the beauty is that the future is not even written yet, right? You have so much more to do. I know so much more you want to do.
Yeah.
And I think you're well on your way to that. Excited. And I think I spoke with you the other day because we've recently had this influx of another batch of young people, maybe 5 years younger than you guys or so.
Yes.
And I made the comment that when I look at them, even though I wasn't here, I know that that's how you and Albert and Jabu and all of them were. And you guys are so involved. You guys are heads of so many ministries. You are so integral to this church. And I think that's them in a few years. Just let them catch it. And that's the beauty of watching God transform someone's life. And just you sharing this, you saying that even though there was difficult decisions, you know that God is not someone that we can doubt. We never have to doubt the power of God. You saw in Albert something that just piqued your curiosity enough to say, I want to see what this is about. And then now you say your cousin has seen that. Your other cousin is now seeing that. And absolutely, we believe that one day your parents will come and see, and they think, how many years ago we thought this wasn't going to happen, and now look at him. So I think that's great. I don't even have anything else. You said it all, and I'm so appreciative that you shared that. I think this will really help people. If people, even new people that are struggling with, how do I draw the line with my family? I know Khomotso also spoke a bit about this, and I think this hopefully will reach ears that need it.
Yeah.
So I just want to say thank you for being here today. I also want to say thank you to our listeners. I say this every time, but without a listener, the story can't be heard. So if you enjoyed this episode, I want to encourage you to share it. We never know the true impact of another story to change lives. Lastly, if you are not a Christian, or you were but have turned away, and you want this change for yourself, it's possible. John 3:16 says that God sent his only son as a free gift to anyone who asks, and a simple prayer is the beginning of your new story. So if you want that, acknowledge your sin, recognize Jesus paid the price for that sin, and ask him to forgive you, and he will. Until next time, this is Rachel Heimberg, and you've been listening to Not the Same. So, Sizwe, since we spoke, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, I understand some things have happened regarding your father. So can you just kind of share with us? The last time we spoke, you hadn't talked to him since you moved out and you walked away. And so tell us what's happened.
Yes. So on the 16th of June, I got a text actually that I really did not expect. It was actually a voice note, and it was my dad. It came in at night around 7. So he said he wanted to see me. And in my mind, I thought that this is not going to be good. Because the last time we left in bad terms. So I said in my heart, okay, cool, fine. I sent a text and I said, okay, I'll see you Sunday after church at 12. I was nervous. I think I went there to meet him. My mom actually was at home, but she wasn't expecting me. So he never told that I actually invited Sizwe over. And when I got there, I'm already in this defensive mode.
Ready for a fight.
Yes, I'm like, okay, whatever you bring, I'm ready. But how he started the conversation, when he walked in, he was just happy to see me.
Wow.
And that defensive mode, it vanished.
Wow.
And he took my hand. I stood. Instead of shaking my hand, he hugged me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was just overwhelming. Just to think of when last did my dad hug me. I can't remember. But it was great.
Wow.
We never sat for like a long time. The main reason he called me was there were some personal things he wanted to speak about.
Okay.
His retirement and everything. But he kind of touched base on our relationship. And with everything that was said, he mentioned that I love you and I want you to be part of everything. In terms of he wants me to be part of the family. And he said, I am welcomed again at home. And when I left, he said, I hope I'll see you again.
Wow. And how long has it been? I was trying to remember.
So I think I moved out 2022.
So 2 years,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. After our conversation, that anger was no longer there. I was like, God has answered my prayers actually. Yeah. Although that was hard, but I recognized it. And I went home. I called my sister, Ndogozo, and I told her what happened.
Wow.
Exactly.
Your mom, did she have a reaction? What did she say? Or
She was in the house, but she wasn't part of a conversation.
Yeah. And
actually, today, as we speak, I drove her to work and she actually asked me, what did you actually speak about between you and your dad? And I told her and she was like, okay.
Wow. So
exactly.
I think that's cool because the other side of that is, I know when you left,
yes,
it was private. It was between you and him.
Yes.
And I think it's great, this reconciliation was also private. It's like he wanted it to be from him sincerely.
Exactly. Yes.
And that's way cool. So now we can just pray that God will keep restoring them and maybe they'll show up in church one day.
I remember during Father's Day when Pastor Heimberg made a call and he made a statement that there's people here, you are bitter against your dad and everything. I went to the altar for prayer and I couldn't say the prayer out loud because actually I was crying on that day. I literally cried and deep inside I was saying this prayer, said amen and rushed back into the sound room because I didn't want anyone to see me. And I said to myself, okay, we'll see what happens. But I'm so happy. I'm believing great things for my mom and dad. Hopefully one day they will get saved.
Yeah. Even still in that time since we recorded the first part of this.
Yes.
Even another cousin of yours has come in recently.
Yes.
Gotten saved and is starting to come.
Yes.
Just in the last couple of weeks. And as soon as I saw her, I thought of you and I thought, Sizwe's prayers are being answered, and not even knowing the situation with your father.
Yes, yes.
So I just think for those of you that stuck around and listened to this add-on to this episode, there is nothing too great or too small that God doesn't care about. He is so interested in answering our prayers because he loves us, and that's great. So thanks for sharing that little piece. I hope our listeners are encouraged by that. Yeah, until next time, guys.
Bye.